Hi guys, welcome to another fantastic edition of Popcorn Crushers on Gusto TV Africa. My name is Paul Mugbolu, popularly called Paul Way. This is the first time I'm being on set for a movie review, and we're going to have a fantastic time. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has been sharing and liking, subscribing, commenting on our videos. I want to please beg you to continue to do so. Preach the Gusto TV message, and we are sure to be your biggest content givers, literally. So today we are going to review the amazing documentary Tinder Swindler. This one is actually a very emotional piece because it cuts across love in that sense, and anything we concern love. You know, as everybody just did, you know, people are overly very interested in things that concern love, companionship, and marriage, quote and unquote. But then again, this one is actually very emotional because of the turn of events. Tinder Swindler took us to another turn of emotion. For people who are liberals and people who just watch from a literal point of view, you know, you could tell that this is not actually a very interesting story. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not interesting because I don't think in my own sense of judgment that justice was done. Now, before we go into all of that, Tinder is the popular dating app. And of course, you know what people go on dating apps to do, to find love, friendship, and the rest of that. You know, but then again, in this particular one, it's a story of a guy, Simon Levy, who obviously we could say categorically that he is a con man. Yeah, like I said, we cannot actually put a stamp to that one because the turn of the events, we got to know that, or he claimed that he wasn't actually a con man. He's not a con man, and that whatever it is he was doing was legit in that sense. He wasn't trying to deceive these women. So the story, just a brief synopsis of Tinder Swindler. It's a group of women who were victims of a dating app called Tinder, like I rightly said, you know, come together in an attempt to hunt who they think has swindled them in that sense, you know. And the initial release for this movie was in February 2022, and the director for this movie is Felicity Morris, and it was distributed exclusively by Netflix. Now, this is actually a true story, so it's not like people are just trying to just come up with things and just fool you or bamboozle you with no. It's actually a true story. So it's actually a true crime documentary, like I said, filmed by Felicity Morris and was released on Netflix on the 2nd of February 2022. And the film tells the story of an Israeli con man, Simon Levy, who used the dating application Tinder to locate individuals which he then emotionally manipulates into financially supporting his lavish lifestyle. Now, Simon is a very lavish guy. He leads a life of pure fun and what we call over here cruise. Now, the kind of cruise he's involved with is the luxury type of cruise. International flights, luxury type of yacht, you know, that kind of thing, you know, fancy restaurants, you know, fancy gifts, you know, fancy luxury type clothing, wristwatches worth millions of dollars, quote and unquote, you know. So he leads that kind of lifestyle. And then, of course, for somebody like him who puts up, you know, a profile on Tinder, for example, with all that, you know, as side attractions, you obviously will get people to actually be interested in him. So you cannot actually blame these women for actually trusting him. But now, the thing about this documentary is Simon Levy's game. It is so crazy. Now, Simon Levy actually defrauds these women to furnish his lifestyle for another woman, does the same thing for that same woman to furnish his lifestyle to actually attract or gain another woman. And it's just a cyclical madness. Like it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And trust me, like, oh goodness gracious, this guy, I don't know how, like, what we call over here now, proper Yahoo boy, you know. But then again, let me just give you guys a brief plot and background of the story. So Simon Levy is an Israeli man born with the name Simon Hayut. You know, he traveled around Europe representing himself as the son of a very rich Russian Israeli diamond mogul, you know, Lev Lviv. You know, he used that, you know, of course, in his profile on Tinder. And, you know, the main aim of that was to attract women to his side in order to swindle them or, defraud them, like the popular word that we know, So he went on trips, lavish trips, bought lavish gifts, went on PJs, private jet trips, with these women. And then when he gets very comfortable with them, they get very close to him, get into his life. He manipulates them, tells them different versions of events, saying things like, my enemies are after me, which is his popular, go-to line. And then these women, because of the trust that they have built with him over time, they have absolutely no chance but to actually, do the things that he says to them to do. Okay, because guys, no, let's look at this from this perspective. You love someone, right? You're ready to do anything for them. And then Simon Levy's game is so top notch because he makes them believe that he's actually for real. Sends them real roses, expensive stuff. Of course, he comes to you as a very rich guy. So if he tells you to send him, like a let's say a $200,000, loaded credit card, you will do that because this is somebody who flies expensive PJs, goes to expensive restaurants and things of that nature. So you wouldn't even, come on now, you would do it and even more, add Jara, like we say over here. But then again, it is so terrible, if I have to use that word, because Simon Levy never really came out clean to these women. The intention wasn't to actually love them. The intention was to swindle them, make them believe that, okay, he's actually in love with them, but to financially rip them off. Now, Reaper. The guy no show love at all. He no show love. Do you understand what I mean? So, he does these things often, and then he makes it seem like, oh, you guys, at the end of the day, when he's busted, you guys don't owe me shit. He talks a lot of nonsenses, gives excuses, blocks them and moves on to another woman and stuff. It was such a messy story, So, he comes up with things like, oh, he's been hurt, my enemies are after me, things of that nature, and, works with his bodyguard. Of course, somebody like that, somebody of his reputation or of his repute would obviously have a bodyguard, because he says things like, oh, he has a lot of connections with, diamonds and, very rich folks. And of course, a lot of people are after him. People want to blackmail him. He says a lot of all that nonsense. And then these women innocently trust them. You can't even blame them. I've gotten to see a lot of reviews and people say, oh, these women are greedy, they are going after money. No. That may not exactly be the case. That could be the case, but may not exactly be the case in this story, because Simon Levy makes them so comfortable, and then you could never guess that he was actually trying to swindle them. So you can't really blame these women. Right? So like one of his MOs would be that he will use this money, to lure victims, like I rightly said, go on expensive dates and stuff like that. It was just a very, very messy, one of the women who he swindled, Cecilie, and you have another woman, Pernilla, you have another woman, Aileen, 3 women who it was just a roller coaster of deception, heartbreak. These women had to borrow monies, were living in debt, going from one debt to another. Creditors were after them because they were just trying to be regular, normal people. Things you would do for your friends, things you would do for your partner. Simon Levy was asking them to do these things. I remember on one occasion, Simon calls, Pernilla and says, oh, my enemies are after me. He's MO again, and this lady goes all out trying to borrow money, trying to, get more loans and get into more debt. And then what he actually does, he actually promises them that he's actually going to pay them. And then what this, I'm tempted to call him a certain name. What this guy does is he sends them fake checks. Simon's modus operandi is actually very flawless. He makes this woman actually believe that he's actually a real person. He's actually a real person, no doubt. Sends them photos, pictures of where he's at, real time video calls, voice notes, and videos of him, waking up in the morning. So he presents himself as a real person. So there's no way that you will actually doubt him. But the funny thing about this is he does the same thing for several other women. So sadly, they don't know this backstory, but Simon knows his game. That's his MO. So when these women actually trust him and then they actually deliver these huge sums, go into debt, trying to borrow for their rich friend who is capable of actually repaying those monies, because obviously Somebody who leads that kind of lifestyle should be able to afford to pay back in that sense. Now, Simon goes to tell these women that, oh, my card has been blocked, my enemies are after me, I cannot access my credit card, so I need to use your credit card, blah 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 blah, while he's lavishly furnishing other ideas, the other ideas in the context of being with other women, if you know what I mean. Now, the truth of the matter is, one cannot categorically say that these women are stupid. I don't want anybody to feel that way. But then again, it's my opinion, and I feel like everybody has, their opinion as regards this, this whole, fiasco, if I have to put it that way. But then again, for somebody who you love and you trust as a friend, you will want to do literally anything for them, right? Now, where I have a problem is Simon's non-availability when it's time to actually now keep up to his own end of the bargain, which is to pay back. Now there's stories and stories and stories and stories, and you're getting to wonder like, yo, what's going on, fam? What thing they happen? Kilo shele. Money what I give you now, don't turn to another thing now. Now to collect my bar back now, I cannot collect it, bro. What's going on? What's going on? And then Simon comes up with loads and loads of excuses. Jesus Christ. Simon says the deadest thing, like we said here, like they dead for ear, like, yo, how could somebody come up with things like this? But then again, these women will believe him because they feel like, oh, he's actually a real person. So you cannot really blame them. Simon goes ahead to send them fake checks. Check my bounce, my bounce. It will bounce, literally. And then these women are saying, yo, what's going on? And then before they realize and try to put the dots together, put all the pieces together, what you know, everything done born. Simon has moved on to another woman. So it's actually a very, very terrible, 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 heart-wrenching story. But then again, we do not come here to say, oh, we have the safe to the key of the moral compass. But then, I mean, like, literally, nobody should feel that way. Nobody should be deceived in that regard. Nobody should be deceived that way. That's how I see it in my own mind's eye. Like I said, everybody's opinion is actually, subject to how they see it. But then I'm just saying. Now, there have been very critical responses to this documentary, and which has a very fantastic rating, if I must say. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has been approved and has a rating of 94% based on 17 reviews, with an average rating of 7.6 over 10. For movie lovers, for people who are interested in documentaries like this is actually a very good watch. So for a rating of 7 over 10, that's actually very good. Kevin Maher of The Times gave the film a 4 over 5 stars, describing it as Jaws of internet dating documentaries, and wrote, it is so propulsive and alarming that the prospect of online dating after the Tinder Swindler might seem very foolhardy indeed. Of course, that's a personal opinion, Of course, there were others, amazing reviews, even from Brian Laurie of CNN, who was, very, very quite critical of this, of this documentary, saying combining the qualities of a Lifetime movie with a catchy title, the marketable element scarcely marks the story and is actually a bore. Jesus Christ. For me, I'm saying it's not a bore because it's almost like an investigative piece. So you are always looking forward to the next one. So I'm going to counter this, in my opinion as well, too. It's really not a bore because you are left, intrigued. You want to know what's next. So you cannot compare that to an actual movie. It is a documentary, and it's something that, tells a story of a crime. I don't want to use certain words on camera, but it's something that, depicts crime. So yeah, you want to know what next, what happened and things of that nature. So I can't really say it's a bore, but of course we all have our preferences. So I really cannot, but then I'm going to argue that it's not a bore. For movie lovers and documentary lovers, please, this is a must watch. I think you should, you guys should literally go and see this one. So I think that, of course, at the end of the day, Tinder, which is, not really like the ones to blame for this, at the end of the day, banned, Simon Levy from the app, and try to, of course, safeguard, their community and things like that, because it also might be bad press and bad PR for them. So yeah, I feel that these things happen, but then things shouldn't happen this way. And in the way that the documentary ended, he saw that Simon Levy was arrested, obviously, because, of course, I want you to go and find out yourself. How they actually caught him is actually very interesting. That part is the most intriguing part of the documentary. You really should go and see it. It was so dramatic. I don't want to spill all the beans, but you should really go and see that. But then at the end of the day, he was caught. I mean, that's the good part of it. But then how he was released and almost walking like a free man is something that is literally beyond me. I cannot freaking fathom it, because this guy is a criminal, quote unquote, but then he's walking free. I mean, that's something you have to, tag on with the justice system. We really cannot place our hands why that happened. And then this guy is also living la vida loca, going up and down the place, spending these women's money, acting like, no, he really didn't do anything. Like, he's so innocent. He's going to charge them. He's going to sue them and stuff, for, the blah, 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 talking about just, I can't even deal with all the things that he said. But guys, Tinder Swindler is an amazing documentary. You really should go and see it. It is heart-wrenching. It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you on your screen. You want to know what's next. But I mean, the moral of the whole gist is, please be careful out there. Love with your heart and love with your head. Know exactly what you're doing. I hope that you find when people are being, corny and cunning. You find out when people are being, very, almost very disrespectful, because when people deceive you, that's an act of disrespect. Guys, so I hope that you enjoyed this review, and please go see the documentary and tell us what you think in the comment section. We're going to reply to all the we're going to reply to all the comments in the comment section. Thank you guys for always supporting. Thank you guys for always liking, sharing, and doing everything that you do for us at Gusto TV Africa. We'll see you on the next episode of Popcorn Crushers.